Greetings to all of you. Thank you for coming on board. I want us to have a conversation today. Very interesting conversation that's currently making news and causing a lot of havoc in the country. And it's concerning the illegal immigrants. So for those of you who are interested, please engage me. We would like to have a chat with you on this illegal immigrant conversation. So I'm gonna be waiting for some of you to come on, but we'll have the chat properly as you come on. But share with me what's your take on the current illegal immigrant marches and people fighting and arguing and saying a lot of things. A lot of other countries outside of Africa, South Africa, have opinions about us and what they think of us. But a lot of South Africans are not talking. They are not having the conversations. So I want to hear from you guys what you guys think. What is your opinion on this current illegal immigration situation? Let's hear it. Okay, I'm gonna text something. Let's hear it, guys. What is your take? I want to hear what you have to say. Let me just also put some comments here so I can talk to. I'm trying to find the comments box. I haven't been live in a while now, so forgive me. Let's see. Yeah, no, this is forward. I don't want to share, but I want to write. I want to comment. Let's hear it, guys. Illegal immigration. What is your take? Let's hear it. I'm going to record a video out there from the comment section. Let's hear it, guys. I want to hear your comments. I want to hear your opinions, so we can hear. What do you have to say for yourself? What is your opinion? What do you think? And I'll soon share what I believe is the case and what I have observed as well. So I'm gonna go right into it. Let's just see here. I want to hear what your take is on illegal immigration. Okay, any comments? I'm about to start, so I want to hear from you guys if you have opinions about this. Let us hear it. Illegal immigration. Let us have a discussion. Okay, so I'm gonna go right into it. I'll go right into it. So you will let me know what you think. If you want to comment, if you want to come on, you'll just request to be brought in or request to be a guest, and I'll accept you. You can have your opinions, share what you like, and let me know what you think. But I just want to have a chat with you guys concerning this so we can understand what the issue really is. So we've been seeing in media, there's been some conversations around, or demonstrations even, in and around foreigners. And I think to some extent it's a bit difficult to find what the actual argument is in the entire riff-raff, where people are just arguing, because when the arguments are being made, you find people straddling lanes between immigrants and illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, and just foreigners in general. So I think the conversation is really critical, because everyone else is having a conversation, and people are commenting that are not in South Africa are actually commenting on what South Africa is what they believe is the case in South Africa. If you listen to most of them, you can see they are not informed. They are speaking out of turn. They are not necessarily quoting the real issues, but yet they are having the conversations. The unfortunate part is every time we have to have conversations, it doesn't really happen, because South Africans are big on memes and other things, and they don't really like talking that much. And I think for me, it's high time that we get into a space where South Africans begin to have the real conversations, because you can't have a handful of people dictating to the rest of the country how the country must behave towards a particular issue. I'm not saying people must go to the streets and comment. We've got platforms like social media, and I think it's the responsibility of every South African to take it upon themselves to have the real conversations. And us having those conversations is actually very useful, because then the rest of the world begins to see what I call a representative sample of what the South Africans actually really feel about this entire issue, as opposed to the sample that you find on media, which might not necessarily be a true reflection of what the rest of the South Africans believe. I'm not sure what's your take at the moment, but from my point of view, I perceive a complex situation being created by how those who are advocates of this illegal immigration, advocates of foreigners not being in the country, advocates of criminality and all these different things that are said to be happening in the country because of foreigners. There's a lot that is being said that is straddling lanes. And sometimes when you sit and listen without judging and you want to really understand, you can't really get the real conversation as to what is it that people are actually saying. And I strongly believe that then it becomes important that we dictate what our South African narrative should be. We dictate, as a collective, we dictate what the South African narrative should be. But you see, when South Africans are not having the conversations, when they are not creating platforms to have the conversations, when they are not talking and dealing with what we need to be dealing with, this actually creates a lot of issues. And I think right now, at this point in time, we are finding ourselves in a very difficult situation where a lot of stuff outside South Africa are being affected by the perception that the rest of the continent has towards South Africa. And I just want to highlight a few things just to, make this clear and very simple for all of us. Just from my view, you can share your own opinion if you like. Greetings to everyone who's coming on. Lindia, I see you. Thank you so much. It's been a while. It's been a very long time. So I just want to share my opinion, and I would gladly have you share your own opinion as well, because I'd like to hear what you think about this entire situation. My observation is this, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'd love to hear from you. Those of you who want to come on live, please do share your thoughts, share your thinking, share whatever you want to share with me. I'm more than happy to engage you right now, because these are things we need to have conversations about. So let us first start with what is being said in media around illegal immigration, or rather immigration, or whatever it is. The perception I'm getting right now in media is that people are saying a lot about foreigners in general. And a lot that is being said about foreigners comes from experiences that people are having on the ground. Because obviously, if you've got foreigners in the country, those foreigners are going to settle somewhere in the country, either in the communities or in townships, in different places, in villages, you name it. They will settle in different places. And the people that are experiencing and encountering those people are going to have their own opinions around what they believe is the behavior of those people. And unfortunately, a lot of them don't have very good experiences. And I'm not trying to protect foreigners, because I believe if I were to travel into another country, if I get to that country, I need to behave myself, because me being in another country, if I'm in Germany or I'm in China or I'm in Ghana or Uganda, I have to behave accordingly, because not only am I there for myself, but I'm also representing a narrative. I am representing a country that the people that interact with me might create a perception. It might create some form of perception towards them. So my view is that it is very critical that we understand what the real conversation is in this entire thing. And the conversation could be that we are fighting foreigners in general, or we are fighting illegal immigrants. And not necessarily fighting them, but we are basically saying we don't want them in the country. What is the actual real conversation? And I'm putting this to you guys to actually share your views as well. You can type your view. You can request to come on. Let us hear what I want to read your comments. So I'm reading Don. I'm not going to read the other one in your name. It says our government officials first need to put under audit under audit. You're saying the ground is a mess because the top is corrupt. Okay. I don't think I understand what you are saying. Maybe you can say it in a lot more elaborate manner, or you can request to come on so I can hear what you are saying. I want to understand from you guys, what do you think is the situation in South Africa right now? Are we having an issue with foreigners? Or are we having an issue with illegal foreigners? Or are we having an issue with governance in South Africa? What is the real issue? Is it governance? Is it failure from our own country, from our own government, to actually enforce certain things? Is it actually is it really the foreigners, or is it the illegal immigrants? Because if we say foreigners are in two parts. There are those who came here legally, they have the papers, and they came in legally. The same way we would come legally into any other country if you are a South African and you choose to go into Uganda and do whatever that you're doing. Winter says corruption mixed with exploitation. Guys, I'm not hearing you. I need you to be more specific, because I want to understand where you are coming from, and I want to understand what the real issue is, because we are having a conversation here and I want to hear from you. What is it that you are thinking? What is the real issue? What is the challenge that we are facing at this point in time? I have split it in three parts. I've split it in a governance failure. The second one is foreigners. The third one is illegal foreigners. So I think we need to have that conversation, because right now what you are seeing, I see Zin is saying, yes, it's failure of the governance structure to enforce migration laws. Okay, that's one. That's also something I've also picked up. Stanley says the issue is both illegal immigrants and our leaders. So illegal immigrants and our own governance. So I want to hear. Talk to me, guys. If you want to have a conversation because you are lazy to type, or you feel you want to express yourself better, you can request to come online. I will accept your request and we'll take it from there. I want to hear from you guys. What is the issue? What is the issue that South Africa is facing right now? What is the issue? So I hear people are saying our leaders are the problem, and some are even saying, greetings, I think South Africa, they don't want people from outside. No, I would disagree with that almost immediately. That is not true. We are the most integrated country in the entire world. We are the most integrated country in the entire world. Even internally, South Africa on its own has so many tribes, embracing so many languages, embracing so many different cultures. That's why we are called the Rainbow Nation. And to tell you the honest truth, the way the country has been built, it has been built such that it's globally friendly, not just continentally friendly. It's globally friendly for anyone to move from anywhere and come and do business legally in the country. It's geared up. Its systems and everything else are geared up. It's actually a very safe environment even for Africans to do business. It's not even about whether we want people here or not. That one, I'm not even going to be to be entertaining it, because it's really not true. And everyone who's been fighting South Africans and saying South Africans don't like foreigners and this and that, and I hear some are even going as far as saying, no, but we helped them in apartheid and we did this and we did that. And that's not actually the point. That is not actually the point. Unless if you feel it's the point, please come, tell me. Tell me, why do you believe we don't want people in our country? Why do we not want people in our country? But if you look at our constitution is geared up so we can also welcome people outside the country. Why would we not want people in the country when our very laws and systems are geared up to welcome people and actually make them feel welcome, and to some extent make them feel comfortable? I'm trying to understand where that comes from. But nonetheless, like I said, share your opinion. I want to hear what you have to say so I can understand where you are coming from. But let's start here. Let's start with what has been the main issue here. And I think, for me, that's my perception. You guys can share. Zin says South Africans have a spirit of Ubuntu. We love and respect people regardless of race and nationality. I agree with you. Totally agree with you. Totally and 100% agree with you. The issue then becomes, then what is the problem? What is the problem? What do you believe is the problem? Because then we need to at least find ourselves in a space where we can have conversations around what we believe is the real issue. And once we have addressed that, probably the conversations are going to be a lot easier. Mavuso says we are overcrowded, but that global friendly must come with legal documents. That globally friendly must come with legal documents. I hear you and I agree with you. But I don't know about overcrowded. I don't know about overcrowded, and I'll explain myself why do I say that. So let's address the comments so that we can probably get to the issue, because the first comment says from Zin, it says that South Africans have a spirit of Ubuntu. We love people and respect regardless of their nationality. Okay, that's fine. And then Standi says we are overcrowded, but that global friendly must come with legal documents. So let's start here. I think fundamentally what all Africans must also accept as a reality when it comes to immigration laws is that every country has its own immigration laws. Doesn't matter whether you're in Africa, it doesn't matter whether you're in Europe, it doesn't matter where you are. There are immigration laws. And those immigration laws are meant to protect people. They are meant to protect the citizens of those particular countries. And I'm saying this because every country, if you were to analyze how every country deals with illegal immigrants, some countries even arrest them. They get incarcerated. They are dealt with very harshly. So it is part of what they have put in as what you would call their immigration laws. Now, I want to touch on this so that we make the conversation a bit simpler and a bit difficult and a bit easier, Failure of government to enforce those laws will end up putting us in a space where we are today. Because if you can have people coming into a country and they are not documented, the question you ask yourself is, how on earth did they even get here? How on earth does a person travel that far and end up in another country without paperwork? How did they enter? Are there not supposed to be laws that govern how the people enter? Are there not supposed to be borders that regulate how people enter? And that in itself is the first systems failure. which is what I call the enforcement failure, the first enforcement failure. So in an event where there is indeed an entry of illegal immigrants. Now, some people will say, how do you know people are illegal? How do you know they have papers? How do you know this? How do you know that? You see, the problem is that those people that are illegal have to live somewhere. They have to live somewhere, and they end up in the communities that they live in. And the people that they live with know who they are. They interact with them over time, and they slowly get to know them. And in actual fact, you end up getting into a space where you actually know quite a bit about them. Besides that, you also evaluate the behavior and how they actually behave around the people of the Republic. Now, the biggest challenge that you are having now is that you find yourself in a space where that enforcement itself has not been done properly. I'm not sure whether it's Department of Home Affairs or it's police services, whatever it is, but there's a capacity gap that we have in South Africa. That capacity gap is creating a loss of border control. And also, it's creating a loss of internal mobility control, how people move within the country. It doesn't make sense that you would have someone who's illegal who's able to stay in the country for years without being caught. It doesn't make any sense at all. Something is really fundamentally wrong with our systems. Something is not right with our systems. And this is where the first failure is. That's my view. I'm not sure what your view is. And I would like for you to share your view, because I'd like to hear what your view is. So this is a governance and resource problem. So people can say we are overcrowded. They can say all sorts of things. But here's the question I always ask myself. If they are undocumented, how do we know how many of them are there? We don't. It can be estimated, but we don't. Now, what is my view? My view is there is no single human being that is allowed to be in any country illegally. That one, it does not matter whether we are fellow Africans or we are this. You cannot enter another country illegally. You cannot live and stay in another country unlawfully. That's just basic, simple, basic conversation. And in an event where a person stays illegally, so some of you will say, but what is wrong with that? What is wrong? Why can't you just leave them alone? You see, the problem is that the countries that seem to have a lot of development, that seem to have a lot of opportunity, that seem to have structures that make it easy to move around and get stuff done and be in business or stay in business or this or that, are going to be victims if illegal immigration is allowed to just happen willy-nilly because we say we are Africans. They are going to be victims of exactly what we are saying right now, where there will be a huge influx of people in a country where there is no control whatsoever. And that actually, to some extent, is a security and vulnerability risk. Because what you will end up funding is that all the undocumented people, they will create a risk exposure. Because whatever they do in that country, even if they commit a crime or they do whatever they do, you can't find them because they're nowhere in the system. Their fingerprints are nowhere in that system. People can just move around. They are illegal. They're not supposed to be there. No one knows that they are there. No one has even captured that they are there. So when you are looking for them, you won't even know. And you will find some people who are, for an example, you are a South African, you are running from the law in South Africa, and you end up in Uganda. The likelihood is you can successfully stay in Uganda while you are running away from breaking the law in South Africa. And this is important to understand, that illegal immigration has so many facets to it, that when people enter a country illegally, more than half the time it's for reasons that are very, 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 very risk. They are high on risk, if I were to put it that way. Let me see, what is it? 9 is it 90 or dear? 90 or dear. I once worked in court, but all illegal immigrants, after being caught, they are given bail. Yeah, you see? And it's a system thing. Exactly what I'm saying. Enforcement failure. Enforcement failure. And you see, now at the end of the day, we can't, as a country, go out and want to terrorize a people because our systems have failed. I strongly believe that if South Africans are going to go out and march, go out and create havoc out there, it should be on the basis of them trying to get government to do right by its people. Us going to confront illegal immigrants, and because by law, truth be told, by law, it is illegal for any person to go out and want to enforce or forcefully remove, even if that person is an illegal person. Even if that person is an illegal immigrant, we are not officers of law enforcement. We cannot go out and enforce the rule of law. But we are allowed by the law of this country to go out and toy and do whatever. Peaceful, marches. We can go and march and do whatever we want to do, but we do it peacefully. And the whole point behind it is to demonstrate that we have reached the point as a people where we feel the system's failures are exposing us to a lot of other things that are uncomfortable to a people as a country. Tuba says, what must we do? Just watch. I'm not saying we must watch. And that's why we have to create platforms where we have conversations. South Africans have to learn to talk. It's not everything that is fixed by toy. It's not everything that is fixed by going to the streets. Because when we do that, we look violent. Yes, I know that's how in this country, government is geared up to only respond when people picket and they do all sorts of things. But we also need to have the conversations because there's two sides to this thing. There is the demonstration element, which we can do, and we know how to do very well. We've been doing it for centuries. But there is also the element of the conversation, where we need the rest of the world to understand where we come from as South Africans, to understand our narrative as South Africans, so that they don't make up their own minds on misconceptions. They understand exactly what we are saying. They understand exactly where we are going. But the problem is that we are not finding ourselves in a space where we are articulating, even the very people leading the marches right now. They are straddling lanes around the different issues. They are clouding, they are muddying the waters. So it becomes very confusing to say, are you having a conversation of us enforcing our immigration laws? Or are you having a conversation about having foreigners in the country that are overcrowding the country? Or are you having a conversation about resources being used more by people who are foreign, who are not supposed to be using them better than South African? What is it that we are saying? And Football Beyond 90 says, what has talking ever done for us? You see, any evolution or any growth of a country goes through phases. It goes through different phases. And unfortunately, South Africans also have to get to a space where we understand that in the past, we used to ban stuff and do this and do that, and people would listen. But we are migrating out of that period. That, running around and and doing this, in as much as it can catch people's attention, but you must also realize that the leaders are also numb to that kind of approach. It has to be a dual approach. In as much as you demonstrate, you also have to have the real conversations. You have to have the real conversations. People have to understand what we are trying to say. And if no one is talking and no one is saying what we need to say or what we need to get people to understand, the issues we are dealing with now are a lot more complex than the issues of saying we want liberation, where everyone will have one placard that says we want liberation. It doesn't matter whether you talk to a teenager, you talk to an adult, or you talk to an old person, they will have the same conversation. You see, those days are easier. They were easier because I'm not saying they were easier in a sense, but I'm saying they were easier conversationally. That's why when it came to demonstration, it was a lot more effective than it is today. I hope you are hearing me. Let me do this. Sorry. It was a lot more effective than it. Today, what we require is that we have to have the conversation. Yakuza toy means to march. It means to march and go out there and and make noise and demonstrate and do, which is exactly what you are seeing the guys doing, because that's what we've been doing. That's what since the 60s. That's what South Africa has been doing. Fighting injustice through going out and demonstrating, standing out in public, because what we were trying to do is to get the world to see the injustices being done and the fact that we are not happy. Because if someone lies about the fact that we are happy, we are not doing anything, you say, no, but you see, there's not even riots, there's not even fight. South Africans were going out to demonstrate that they are unhappy. What I'm saying now is that those marches have always been known as a way on how South Africans actually demonstrate their unhappiness. Now, the question I'm asking now is that, is it enough for us to just go out and demonstrate unhappiness? Is it enough for us to do that? And my answer is, of course not. Of course not. It's not enough. Because right now we are faced with a situation where other people, and we can say whatever we don't care what they think. We are fighting for our own country, this and that. But you must realize that the existence of a South African people is beyond just South Africa as a country. It goes beyond South Africa as a country. And it touches what South Africans are doing even in other countries. People who are in business, people who are doing a lot of other things are now in a space where they are global. They are global within what they are doing. Very global. And that understanding is important because some are in Uganda, some are in Nigeria, some are in different countries of the world. And if you don't know it, don't say they are not, because you don't know it. But bottom line is, let's deal with the real issues. Now, let me read your comments so I can hear. Zin says resources get strained because they are meant to cater or serve a specific number of people. I understand, based on the population dynamics of the country. I agree with you there. But how do we know that there is more? And one can say, we live with them, so we know. Okay, fair enough. I'm not even going to argue that. But the question I'm trying to emphasize right now is that if we have a failure to document the people coming in, why are we letting them in the first place? And that is an enforcement conversation, like I've already said to you earlier. The problem that South Africa faces right now is that there is a rise in undocumented illegal immigrants. There is a rise. This is obviously observed in the communities. People can see. There's more and more, but the question is, are they legal or not? And the conversation we are having, we shouldn't clutter it with resources. We shouldn't clutter it with schools and hospitals and all these different type of things. We shouldn't clutter it that way, because you must also realize that there are also immigrants that are legal in the country. There are also immigrants that have paperwork in the country. And that understanding is critical. There are those who are legal, who came in legally, and they are utilizing resources. They are utilizing whatever they need. And in my view is that if you've got border control, if you've got immigration control, you know that there is a certain amount of immigrants that you cannot allow in the country because of the resources that the country has. And in my understanding is that if you have a system that works, you should be able to tell when you are reaching critical limits, when you are reaching points where you need to now enforce much stricter rules around how you allow people to come into the country. That for me is a simple no-brainer, straightforward conversation. But in an event where people are coming in and there was no plan around them coming in, I can understand that. But we are complicating the conversation by bringing those things in, by saying people are taking our jobs. People are doing this with tax shops. They're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing that. What is the real conversation? The real conversation is a systems failure. It's an enforcement failure. So why are we demonstrating? We should demonstrate because we are trying to get our government to take us seriously when it comes to these issues. Don, I hear what you are saying, and I will not even argue if you say those are illegal immigrants. But you see, that is why it becomes important that if South Africans are going to stand up, let them stand up and demonstrate, but they must also have the right kind of conversation. Don't go out and be closing people's shops and doing this and chucking people out of their shop, because we are not legally allowed to do it. We are not legally allowed to do it. But we can take our own government to task. Now, the other thing I want you guys to notice, have you noticed that we always have xenophobic issues? Or there's always xenophobic conversations that always rock up, or they mushroom out of nowhere, especially when we are on the eve of elections and voting. And many a times it seems like it's politically driven. Around elections, we will always have issues like this. And it becomes very important for us as a people to also realize that are these issues being used so that we become pawns in this entire chess game? Because look at it, at the end of the day, if someone wants to use immigration as a campaigning tool, they have a very strong case. Because they will stand up and say, if you vote for me, I will eradicate all of this. I will make sure the borders are tight. I will do this. It's a very easy conversation. And when you mention that, a lot of people believe, in fact, in the South African context, a lot of people believes that if you were to fix illegal immigrants or if you were to fix issues with foreigners, you would have fixed entirely the issue of South African problems. That's what a lot of people believe. But is that really a conversation, or are we delusional? And I can tell you right now that a lot of us believe that if you got rid of illegal immigrants or if you got rid of foreigners, the country will be back in order. But that's not the real conversation. That's not the real conversation. The real conversation is a systems failure within South Africa itself. A systems failure within South Africa itself. We are not enforcing our own laws. And we need to take our government to task. We need to put them in a space where they take us seriously. We need to put them in a space where they realize that these issues are indeed actually affecting us. It's not something we can ignore. It's compromising our safety. It's compromising our risk. Our risk factor in South Africa is going higher and higher. It's getting higher and higher. And South Africa has the ability to regulate. And all we need to do is to put resources in the right places to make sure that we regulate and we enforce our own laws. I see my Mani page says, get rid of all illegal immigrants or illegal foreigners, they must go. You see, it's easy to say that. And normally when you say that, it sounds like you are aggro, you are anti-foreigner. And that's what I'm saying. On top of that statement, Mani page, on top of that statement, the conversation you need to have is the fact that we need to reinforce. We need to reinforce our immigration laws. The enforcement of the immigration laws need to be reinforced. I hope you are hearing what I'm trying to say to you. So Zin says all these xenophobic are triggered by our exec leaders who do not serve its people. South Africa is not xenophobic. I don't believe South Africa is. I don't know about you. I'm not xenophobic. I'm not xenophobic at all. But the problem is that when you are demonstrating in the absence of real conversations, people will make their own assumptions. People will make their own assumptions. And that's exactly what is happening in the South African context. People are making their own assumptions based on our demonstration because we are muddying the water. Every time we have to speak and say something about where we find ourselves, we are not having the right conversations. Instead of talking undocumented population of illegal immigrants, that there is a large increase in that, especially in the communities, and that is creating public risk, because even if it happens that some of them are unruly characters and they are committing crimes, it is not easy to find them. Even if they commit crimes, you find fingerprints and everything, you can't find them because they are not documented anywhere. This is the kind of risk we are dealing with. That's the conversation we should have. And not a conversation that says, no, they're taking our jobs. They are doing this, they're doing that. Because how do you quantify that? How do you quantify that they are taking your jobs? How do you quantify that they are full in the hospitals or this or that? How do you quantify that? Where are those numbers? Yes, we can see it by observation that there is an increase in the population based on where you are. And someone says, one time says, criminals from Africa run to South Africa. Well, they run to every other country. They run to every other country. But I told you in the beginning when I started that when a country does not enforce its own laws, it becomes victim of such characters. It becomes victim of such characters. And this is important because when we get that and we begin to realize why this becomes critical for us to understand and have the right kind of conversation. LM says, why are you screaming? I'm screaming because I'm frustrated that South Africans are good with demonstrating and yet they fail to have the conversations, thereby putting us as a country in a position where the narrative about South Africa is wrong. Because we are good in picketing, we are good in running the streets and making noise and demonstrating. But when we have to sit down and have real conversations, we are not having them. It's very frustrating. South Africans must learn to have the right conversations. You have social media. Share your thoughts. Share your opinion and make sure it's a researched opinion. Don't just speak for the sake of speaking. Speak because you understand that what you have to say has implications. Marching is peaceful. Peace is allowed, but not killing and beating. Anna, you are very right. Or even trying to do a citizen's arrest on the so-called illegal immigrants. No, it must be done by law enforcement. LM said, by how long as the youth have we cried about unemployment? Even fees must fall. Yes, you have cried about it, but the conversations, I've been telling you now, and I'm saying it again. It is one thing to go and demonstrate. It is another to sit in real platforms and have conversations. How many people are having live sessions right now where they are having real conversations? Say, South Africans, let's sit down and have a chat. Why do we have a handful of people? Those people are the only ones who are dictating what the narrative of South Africa is. The rest of the South Africans are quiet. Whether they are articulating us well out there or not, the rest of the South Africans are quiet. Why are we not having the right conversations? South Africa is a global market. Globally, we have a footprint. And that is, it needs to be understood. So you will find yourself in a space where a lot of people, like for an example, there are a lot of African people that believe if they were to find a way of getting into the American countries, they could do well for themselves because of how attractive that economy looks like. Some are saying if I were to go to China, some are saying if I were to go to the UK. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But the problem becomes when you want to enter those countries illegally, then we have a problem. And that's the conversation. I'm blaming the government and its people, not just the government. We voted for the government. We need to keep the government accountable. I hope you are hearing me, Simpi. I'm not just attacking the people, but the people are also sitting and doing nothing. That's why you end up having a handful of people standing up because they are realizing that no one is saying anything. No one is doing anything. People have just pulled away and they're just quiet, allowing this to happen. There is nothing wrong with us demonstrating, but we have to demonstrate while we are clearly articulating what the issues are. And I'm telling you right now, at the back of conversations, governments are forced to make the right decisions. When people have real conversations, while you're still demonstrating and making noise and doing this, they can contain that locally. They can contain that nationally and ignore you and move on with life. But when you're having real conversations that actually need real answers, that's when the issue comes. Murungwa says, who is government? Government is the leaders and its people. The people are the government. And for as long as a South African we think that government is just those people in parliament, we have a wrong approach to how we're going to fix this country. We have a totally wrong approach. The government, yes, is those leaders, but those leaders are leading people. And those people have a say because they have put the people there and they must hold them accountable based on what they said they promised. This is important to understand. Let us not just demonstrate. Let us have the conversations. South Africans, we need to have conversations. When we are not having conversations, we'll end up having other people as scapegoats. False accusations. I'm still not saying that illegal immigrants are supposed to be allowed in the country. I'm just simply saying that we cannot now victimize the people who have benefited from a failed system. We have to address the system. We have to address the system. And you see, for me, beyond just this conversation we are having right now, for me, beyond this conversation is that what is happening currently in South Africa is going to help a lot of other African countries to realize that as a country, the people of that country have the power to stand even against their own government. The people of the country have the power to stand and voice their views, even if they are contrary to what the government is doing. That we are not victims of the leaders that we have appointed into government. But those leaders are meant to serve us as the people of the country. And if we are unhappy about something, we have to deal with it. We have to take it. We have to confront it. And we have to have the real conversations. We have to have the real conversations. And I will still reiterate even now, what is the real conversation? The real conversation is not foreigners. The real conversation is not foreigners. We can say they must go if we want. We can do whatever we want to do. The bottom line is that we still need to fix the system, because while we are saying others must go, others are still entering. It's like trying to get water out of a boat that has a hole. Water is coming in and you are still trying to get water out. You are not fixing it. Plug the hole first, then get the water out. I hope you are hearing what I'm trying to say now. And I see what Mpo is saying, that we must go to their countries illegally as well and so forth. You don't fix evil with evil. You don't go in other countries and demonstrate the same thing you are trying to fix. Someone says one of these leaders said we must give him 5 million and he will go and guard the borders. It doesn't help. Such conversations are not constructive in any way. All I'm saying to you is that there's a gap in the system. And the ones who have taken advantage of it have broken the law, and it must be dealt with. I hope you are hearing what I'm trying to say now. So I'm going to close this chat. I appreciate all of you who have come on to conversate with me. We'll continue again. I'll probably come back and we'll take this conversation. Yeah, so Big Sana says we had conversation during apartheid regime, but it never worked, but action did. Yeah, it was a different dispensation. That's exactly what I said. We are now in a dispensation where both must work. You can't afford to just demonstrate anymore like you did in the apartheid regime. Because there was only one conversation in that time. No one was confused about the fact that we didn't want to be oppressed. No one was coming up with extra conversations like it's happening right now. Right now, you are saying illegal immigrant. At the same time, you are saying hospitals overcrowded. You are saying our jobs are being taken. You are saying so many things. Some of them are not even related to the actual conversation. So when someone else is listening to us talk, they are thinking, but these guys actually don't like us. They are just using these things as excuses. We look like we are trying to make people scapegoats because we are not having real conversations. Real conversation. What is the issue? Systems failure. Systems failure. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you so much for all of you. South African have job problem, but these foreigners, they came. Okay, I don't understand that, Nanajo. Which way must we use to solve this? I told you, it's a dual thing. It's a dual thing. We talk, we demonstrate, but we have to have real conversations. Not just talking for the sake of talking. We are quoting cases that have nothing to do with, you're quoting TV shows, that Nigerians are being caught in the TV shows. How do you quote TV shows when you are having such a serious conversation? You need to use facts. And as you will say, yeah, the TV show is a fact and so forth. But who said that that TV show is addressing a representative sample of criminals in the country? We are currently dealing with major criminal elements in the drug space that are South African. Currently, Madlanga Commission has dealt with that. Obviously, no one will have those chats right now because they want to blame everyone else for this stuff. That's why I'm saying if we go that route, we're going to muddy the waters. We're going to muddy the waters. We need to have the real conversation. Tulane, it's not about being smart. If you think you have something to say that is worth listening to, share it. This is part of having conversation. No one is thinking they are smarter. Everyone is trying to have a conversation so that we narrow this thing to a particular narrative, other than the narrative that the rest of Africa has right now. It's very important. It's one thing for people to say, you guys like talking too much as if you know everything. But you are quiet yourself, not saying anything meaningful, not saying anything that adds value. Then you keep quiet yourself because you've got nothing to say. Let the ones who are speaking speak, because at least they've got something to say. Share your opinions. Think about it. It will help even young South Africans to start thinking. They say March and March is a Zulu tribalistic movement. I don't even want to go into that. I don't know. But all I know is that part of what they are fighting for is really what we need to be fighting for. The issue of the lack of enforcement of immigration laws. Every other thing that comes with that, I don't even want to get into it because I don't know. I won't lie and say I know what these guys represent. We need to have the conversations. We need to ask each other, why are we doing what we are doing? Why are we demonstrating? What is the ultimate outcome? What are we trying to achieve? Kagiso, you are right. That's exactly what I just said now. He's not a foreigner. Not at all. And many others. Many others. I'm not sure if he's selling drugs. I don't even want to get into that. That's not part of... I'm not a legal person. All I know is that he pleaded guilty on the police force tender. The others, I have no idea what you're talking about. But I'm just trying to show you now that these are some of the things that we are dealing with as a country. And that understanding is critical, that South Africans must learn to talk. We must learn to talk. We must learn to have conversations. We must learn to express ourselves well. Because right now, the battle we are fighting is not only just the one of dealing with stuff by demonstrating, but it also requires us to be intellectual enough, to be level-headed enough, to have the real conversations, express ourselves well enough to be able to deal with what we need to deal with. And this is important. Let us have the right conversations. And I'm asking you now, what do you think is the right conversation? What do you think is the real conversation that South Africans must be having? And I'm saying to you, it's a systems failure. All these other things you people are quoting that you are mentioning, yes, they are what we might call the fruit of a systems failure. But we want the root cause. There's no point in us dealing with the outcomes. There's no point in us dealing with the outcome. We need to deal with the real stuff. We have to use our brains. You are right, Kagiso. It's time we sit and have real conversations. It's important. You say, why did I not speak before? Why now? Well, right now, it's much more critical for us to speak. Because everything is being built by speaking and destroyed by speaking as well. It's no longer about toy-toying and banning stuff. It's not about taking it to the streets and ruining things and demonstrating that you are unhappy. Fanny, I hear what you are saying, and I agree. I'm not saying much too much is totally wrong. And that's what I said when I started in the beginning. It's not just entirely wrong. I just feel that in as much as we can demonstrate, let us also articulate the narrative well. Let us articulate our problems well. Let's not complicate them by dragging other unnecessary things into the argument. Right now, the rest of Africa thinks we are against them when we are not. All we are against is a failed system in our own country that's allowing illegal people to come in. That's all we are saying. Nothing else. Nothing else. That's all we are saying. And we want to fix this. Okay, thank you so much. I'm done. Thank you for all your comments. So why you criticize those who've started when you've done nothing? I'm not criticizing them. Are you listening to what I'm saying? I'm not criticizing them. I'm saying it is good that we take it to the streets if we have to, but let us equally articulate. I might not be taking it to the streets, but I'm here right now articulating what I believe is the problem and what I believe is complicating our own expression of that problem. I hope you're hearing what I'm saying. What they are doing is good, and I'm happy with it. But I'm more worried that when they are set down to say, now let's talk, that's where the problem comes. Because how we articulate ultimately affects everything else. That's where we find ourselves now. We are demonstrating very well. And I think the rest of the world understands that we are sick and tired. But how do we articulate? Let us help our fellow Africans to understand that we don't have a problem with them. We have a problem with the failed system that is allowing illegal immigrants. Because within the scope of the illegal immigrants, there are criminals there. There are people who have committed serious crimes that are running from their countries. There are people who are coming in with conditions that are introducing a serious risk to our own country. That's what we are saying. It's an issue of safety and risk. It's an issue of population dynamics that are not favorable to a South African people because there are illegal people coming in that are not being monitored. That's all we are saying. All these other things must wait because we know they are outcomes of the failed system. So even if we try and fix them, we are not fixing the problem. You can fix the problem of a dirty pig by taking it out of the mud and cleaning it, and then you leave it. What will it do next? It goes back and jumps into the mud. Pa! In the mud again. And you take it out clean. You know why? You are dealing with the outcome and not the root cause. What is the best thing to do? Go and put it where there's no mud. Clean it up and put it there. It will look for mud and not find it. Ultimately, you will find it looking dusty, but not muddy. You have solved the problem. And I'm saying right now, we can fix the problem. We can fix the problem. Kagiso, I just believe that Zulus are brave enough to march when they have to. Unlike other South Africans, they are brave enough to march when they have to. But we also need to understand that they need to have the right conversations. It's not just about showing a heroic side of yourself. To say, I will hit the streets, I will demonstrate and show. You need to be able to sit down and articulate properly what you are saying. And in turn, avoiding saying things you should not be saying because you might come across as being a hater of foreigners, which is where we find ourselves right now. The rest of the continent is totally misguided around why South Africa is doing what it's doing. And we are very simple. We are simply saying we do not want to be dealing with unruly characters that come from other countries that have managed to enter our country illegally, and we can't even manage. Because when people enter illegally, they know for a fact that no one knows that they are where they are. This is important. This is important. Very important. So we have to change the way our government is enforcing these laws. It's terribly working against us. And the sooner we sort it out, the better. We need to fix this. There are a lot of repercussions and fruit of this corruption and a failed system in regulating our borders and internal control. There's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot. So South Africans, let's create platforms. Let's make the world understand that we do not hate other nations, but we are just merely trying to fix our country because our government is not doing what it's supposed to do. That's all we are saying. We don't hate anyone. We are a rainbow nation. We have embraced more of the people out of this world, out of this country, out of this globe. So many different people. We are living with them all over the place. We've allowed them to do businesses in our country. We don't have issues with them. The only issue we have is illegal immigrants. We cannot have people in the country that we cannot account for. It's a risk. We cannot have people in the country that we don't know who they are and where they come from. It's a risk. It's a serious security risk. Anyways, thank you so much. That's all I needed to say. That's all I needed to highlight. I appreciate your time. Thank you for spending an hour with me online. Keep well and take care. Hi, James. We appreciate you coming in as well. Thank you so much. Kempton Park used to be a beautiful town until they all arrived. Yeah, look, I'm not going to go into all of that. Like I said, do not muddy the conversation by bringing other stuff, because then it shows that you have hate towards a people. The only anger we have is towards our failed system. That's the anger we have. Let us not get carried away. Let us not be emotional when we are dealing with critical issues in our country. We need to articulate very well what the issues are. And the issue is illegal immigration and our lack of border control, our lack of internal movement control. All of that is where we have the problem. If that gets fixed, all of these other things are sorted out. I hope you are hearing what I'm saying. If government has to do an entire raid on different cities and towns and check people, and let them do it if they have to. Let them do it if they have to. But bottom line is, we cannot find ourselves in a space where we are demonstrating, yet we can't articulate what the narrative is. Then we compromise everything else. We are compromising foreign investment. We are compromising companies operating outside of South Africa. We are compromising all those different things. And some of you will say, no, but how? I've got businesses out of South Africa and I know how they are compromised because of what's happening right now. I know exactly. Can you imagine having to try and sit with people to explain a narrative of an entire country all by yourself, just so that your partners can understand? It's not on. It's important to understand this. We have to make sure that we are both physically and mentally engaged where this issue of illegal immigration is concerned. And for those who are in the forefront, my plea is very simple. Structure yourself. Structure how you present this issue. Structure how you are dealing with the problem. Don't be emotional. Don't be overly excited, but articulate yourself well. It's not just about talking. It's not just about talking. It's not just about demonstrating, but it is also about making sure. That's why if we go there, we break their shops, we take them out of their shops, we do this, we do this, we do that. How is that going to help? How is it going to help? Because it just shows hate and violence. We need to get our house in order. Plug the hole on the boat before you start getting the water out. Plug the hole first. Fix your borders first. Fix your systems first. Fix the systems. Fix them. It's important. Then we have a conversation after that. The same way they have Madlanga commissions and all these other different commissions, they can also have a tax team made up of 300 different people that go from province to province, and they're just cleaning up, and they are given authority by the laws of this country to be able to do that. So we clean up the country, but we have closed the holes already. But you're gonna go out and try to do that, and yet the holes are still there. You are like a person who's putting water out of a boat while the hole is still there. You might find that if you push out with a bucket, 10 other buckets have entered. One bucket for 10 buckets. One bucket. That is not smart. And someone is saying South Africa is overpopulated because of foreigners. Have you guys looked at demographics? Have you looked at how many babies South Africans themselves are having? Have you looked at the jump in population from where we were in the past, let's say 5 or 7 years, to where we are now? We can't be using foreigners as scapegoats for everything. Our system should be able to regulate how much of foreigners we can have in the country, and it should be able to block accordingly and adjust regulation, or not regulation, but adjust requirements accordingly to be able to monitor and regulate how much comes in and how much goes out. But we can't be using them as scapegoats. We can't. It's time we fix our own country through real conversations. South Africans are not talking. South Africans don't talk. The only time we talk is when we are commenting on memes about funny things, and we are saying senseless, useless things instead of having real conversations about real South African issues. Real South African issues. Doesn't help us joking around. Right now, we are in the World Cup. South Africa is in the World Cup. We should be having real conversations about how our team is doing in the World Cup. But we are having memes. People are putting memes and they are saying, no, if we hate them, they seem to do better. So let's continue hating them. They will do better. If we continue posting bad memes about them, they seem to do better. It helps them to do better. South Africans are, I think to us, life is a party. We don't want to have real conversations. And we expect our politicians to take us seriously when we are not confronting them with real issues. Naledi says now they are distracted by Jonas. You know them. Jonas will trend for the next 6 months. Jonas is this, Jonas is that. Another one will come and it will trend. We are forgetting real issues in the country. Political parties are nominating ward councillors for local elections. We are not even having those conversations about who those ward councillors are, their credibility. Are they able to deliver? Do we know who they are? We are not having those conversations. We're not having those conversations. It's well and good for us to celebrate. And I see another Jonas is not happy with us here. We are not saying we hate Jonas. We are not saying we hate Jonas. All we are saying is that we celebrate the work that they've done. It's good work of acting, and they did really well. But we have current issues in the country that require real conversation. So on the one hand, we can celebrate our people. We can have lighter conversations about stuff. But let's create platforms for real conversations. Let's create platforms for real conversations. South Africa, we need to start talking. We need to start talking. And I've said this before. The issue is illegal immigrants. Nothing else but illegal immigrants. All these other things we are touching, jobs, overpopulation, this and that, those are just outcomes of a failed system. You don't solve outcomes. You don't solve symptoms. You solve the root cause. You don't medicate symptoms, but you medicate the root cause. So let us also fix the root cause. And the root cause is the hole that's bringing water. The water would have stayed in its own place if we regulated properly. It wouldn't have entered the boat. But because there's a hole on the boat, the water has found its way into the boat. Now, us getting the water out does not solve the problem. We need to plug the hole so that when we put water out, that water, it becomes effective. It becomes effective. It becomes effective. And you see, I see a lot of you are still saying foreigner. We have nothing wrong with foreigners. There is nothing wrong with foreigners. There is nothing wrong with foreigners. Zero wrong with foreigners. The issue we have is illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants. I don't know how we can drill this in people's minds. Illegal immigrants. Stop hating on foreigners. We are all foreigners when we get into other people's countries. Doesn't matter why we are there. Whether it's holiday, whether it's this or that, it does not make any difference. It's important to understand this. James, I see your comment. And it's important, like I said. Us trying to sort out the illegal immigrants by destroying properties and doing all sorts of unreasonable things, it does not help. It really does not help. It's exactly like someone trying to get water out of a boat and not plugging the hole. Plug the hole first. Plug the hole. Let's fix our system. Plugging the hole means fixing our system. Our system is failing. We need to fix it. We need to stand, have the right conversations around how it needs to be fixed. There are people who are smart who don't even work for government. There are people who are smart who can share real, proper stuff that can help our country to do what it needs to do in terms of, but because we are not having the conversations, we are not having the conversations. We are not. We are not having the conversations. We ban stuff. We close people's businesses. We do this, we do that. Yet we are not officers of law enforcement. We are breaking the law ourselves doing what we are doing. Let's go out and demonstrate if we have to. But leave those foreigners alone. Fix your own laws, South Africa. Fix your own laws first. Fix your own laws first. Someone says, Pagela said, give me 5 million and I will protect the border. How is he going to protect the border? Does he have a history of security and safekeeping? Does he have history, or is he just a wannabe Zulu warrior? Or maybe he is a Zulu warrior. I don't know. What does he have that will give us? You see, these are some of the things that bother me about South Africans. If someone is talkative, we think they can do something. It's one thing to be talkative. It is another to articulate issues properly. To have weight in what you are saying. To have content in what you are saying. Talk is cheap. But you have to have conversations that are meaningful. That will change the narrative. That will make people think. This is very important. South Africa, learn to talk. Learn to have real conversations. Learn to structure your conversations so that the world will know that in as much as you can demonstrate, you are also a thinking nation. You are a thinking nation. You don't just make a joke of everything. You don't make memes of everything and laugh about everything. You also take seriously issues that need to be dealt with, and you will sit around the table and have real conversations. Some of you will say, no, but we are not in parliament to have those conversations. Okay, that's fine. But do you know that a people, through conversations, they can actually get their own government to do what is necessary? Shelley says illegal immigrants is also part of the problem. It's the main problem right now. Because everyone is blaming it. They blame it for crime. They blame it for lack of jobs. They blame it for everything. So it's the main thing right now. It's the main thing. But stop saying foreigners. We are not dealing with foreigners here. We are dealing with illegal immigrants. Illegal foreigners. Let us make that very clear. And it must be understood, and it must be known by the entire world that we as a sovereign nation, we will also not tolerate having illegal people into our country. We're not. The safety and risk factor becomes way too high when we allow that to happen. Let us fix our holes. Let us fix our holes. Again, government is a disappointment. Let's fix government. Let's have the conversations. Let's take them to task. How many of you confront political parties when they come and campaign? When they come and do door-to-door? Do you sit them down and have real conversations with them? Or you just, it's okay, they won't even listen to us, let's not even bother. That's how South Africans are. You avoid having conversations with the anticipation that you are not going to be heard. I'm telling you now, people that changed the course of history didn't care whether they were heard or not. They spoke anyways. They didn't care whether people were listening or not. They spoke anyways. It's time South Africans learn to talk and articulate properly. We don't hate foreigners. We love them. They are fellow humans. Doesn't matter where they come from. We love them. But we will not tolerate illegal immigrants. It's a serious risk for the country. And that's what our government needs to fix. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm done now. I appreciate all of you. As we close, see you again soon. Yes. SA, you are right. You are right. We have to make sure. We have to make sure that the narrative is clear. But it won't be clear if the larger population of South Africans are not speaking the same language. We do not want illegal immigrants. Finished. Not foreigners. Illegal. Illegal. We are okay with foreigners. We are happy. There are other issues that have to do with foreigners that are disrespectful, that are doing what, and what. Those are issues, those are issues that are immaterial. It's neither here nor there. The main issue here is illegal. Illegal. We want to deal with illegal. We want to deal with illegal. Lungile, you can inbox me. Inbox me Lungile, because the comments are flying across the screen. So email it, just send me an inbox. We'll see this One Africa organization you're talking about. It's important. How can foreigners take business? They can't. The same way you can't say I'm taking business if I go to Ghana and start a company and I'm there legal. If I go to Nigeria and start a company and I'm there legal. You can't say I'm taking business. What am I taking? Because I'm bringing in what is business and I'm bringing investment with it. But if I'm illegal, totally different story. Illegal is a totally different story. And you will see why part of why illegal immigrants are brought in. You will see it has a lot of things to do with cheap labor, a lot of different things. A lot of different things. So there are also people who perpetuate this stuff within the country. That's why we have to deal with the system. Because if we try and deal with the riff-raff, we're going to look like we don't know what you're talking about. We're going to look like we hate immigrants. We hate foreigners, and we don't. We don't. We love them. They are fellow brothers and sisters. But we don't appreciate illegal ones taking advantage of the gaps in our systems. We don't appreciate illegal ones taking advantage and capitalizing on the lack of enforcement in the South African borders. That we don't appreciate. We don't appreciate that. So yeah, instead of dealing with cheap labor, crime, pregnancy, drugs, this and that, instead of dealing with all of that, leave them alone. Leave them alone. Just deal with this system. I suspect you are also a foreigner. You'll be surprised that we are all foreigners. If you study your own lineage, you will realize. Study your own lineage, you will realize. I always say this to people. Say, hey, don't hate on certain races and certain tribes. You will be shocked if you knew your family tree. If you knew your own family tree, the ones who claim, me, I'm this, I'm that, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised even how the Zulus are so intertwined with the Swatis. And you will say some of them are also foreigners. Yes, they are foreigners, but if they are legal in the country, it's fine. There are some who are foreigners, some are not. You have to understand these kind of things. It's very important. Big Sana, I hope your foreigner gardener is legal. Because the other thing is that harboring an illegal immigrant is also punishable by law, by the way. It's just that our police system is not enforcing it. You will pay up to 10,000 rands of fine if they find you protecting an illegal immigrant. Fanny says, march and march is the way. Yes, but also talk. Have the right conversations. Don't tell us about Nigerian boyfriends on national TV. It's embarrassing. Have real conversations. Stop having conversations that don't make sense. Have real conversations. Stop embarrassing yourself in public platforms by having conversations that are not necessary. They give you bait and you take the bait and you avoid having real issues and you end up having personal issues about exes and all sorts of nonsenses. Have real conversations. That's why I'm saying articulate the issue properly. People need to know that this thing is not personal. Okay, Irene, that racial comment there is not nice at all. Let's not tag people. We are South Africans. We are Africans. We are South Africans. We are Africans. God bless you. Thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate you. See you again next time. I don't know. Maybe I might come live again tomorrow around the same time. Let's try maybe say 5 o'clock tomorrow. Let's try 5 o'clock tomorrow. Please bring some real arguments. I want to engage you guys. I want to engage you guys. And if you know anyone who's in the match, bring them. If there's someone that is in the match that believes a certain narrative, yeah, I want to hear them out. I want to understand, because on the news, when we try to listen to them, most of the time it's heated arguments. There's never a time where they're really having a real conversation, where they actually articulate what the issues are. They're cluttered. They mix things around. They talk about hospitals. Then you see clips of people taking people out of hospitals. Oh, people, let's learn to talk as South Africans. Create platforms to have conversations. Let's deal with what we need to deal with. I see Lebza, you say you are much yourself. Okay, that's good. Come tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Let's have this conversation. I don't want to challenge Jacinta because the point is not to challenge her. You're not hearing what I'm saying. The point is not to challenge her. The point is to have real conversations that will get them thinking as well. We can't be seen fighting with each other. Say, this and that. Then we are divided ourselves. But we can reinforce their narrative by bringing in facts and putting stuff on the table that creates structure and direction towards what they are already saying. Lebza says, why tomorrow? I've been here for an hour, Lebza. Did you just come on now? I've been here for an hour, so we are done for the day. We'll see tomorrow. I can't stay here the whole time. Yeah, so that's basically what we are saying. So let's have the conversations. Put those things up. Have platforms. Have sessions where you are going live with people, having real conversations. And let's have those kind of things out there. Let's have real conversations. Let the rest of the world see that South Africa is talking and South Africa is making sense and South Africa is dealing with the real issues so that they can correct themselves if the narrative is wrong. Because I can tell you now, I've listened to a lot of them. They are completely misguided when it comes to what they understand about what South Africa is doing. Completely misguided. Because we ourselves don't have a structure. If we were to be asked what is the real problem, we'll say 10 things all at once. If we were to be asked, okay, tell us, what is the current problem in South Africa? The hospitals are full. This are full. Yes, but what is the issue? No, the issue is foreigners. We don't want foreigners. Is that the issue? We do not want illegal foreigners, Lebza. I have just said that. They introduce risk. Clearly, you've just entered now. Ne? You didn't hear the whole picture. But anyways, it's fine. Let's leave it there for now. I'm not going to repeat myself. I've seen Hillbrow. I have lived in Hillbrow before. I know how Hillbrow looks like. I understand Hillbrow very well. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Sam, tell them. Fix the hole in the boat. Hole in the boat. Stop trying to fix illegal immigrants. Fix the system. The system is the problem. Once the system is fixed and it works properly, all these other things will fix themselves up. Washing the pig is not the solution. It will jump back in the mud. Take it away from the mud. Then you will not have a problem. Fix the problem. Fix the root cause. The so-called legal ones are bringing illegal ones. Yes, obviously they will be able to bring them because the system is broken. Fix the system, guys. Are you hearing what I'm saying to you right now? Are you hearing what I'm saying to you right now? Thank you so much. That's it for the day. See you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. If you are interested, you can join in. But I need you guys to have conversations with me. I need some of you to request to come on so I can hear you. Operated, sorry, man. I'm only seeing you now. I will accept you tomorrow if you don't mind. Please come back tomorrow. I'm only seeing you now. I was out of this window. I was on another window, so I couldn't see who is requesting to come on. But apologies for that. Let's talk again tomorrow. We'll see you guys at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Let's have this chat again. Thank you so much.